we just go, yeah. 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 But, Hi. Yes. Careful, careful! Shit. Well, it's okay. It's okay, bud. Yeah.
It's okay. Wanda's not here, buddy.
Yeah.
No, she's not here. All done. Have a great stream.
Thank you.
All right, Julie. Come on, you. Da-da-da. Yes. That's how it goes. Six. Good boy.
All right. Here with a webcam from like 2005, and for some reason it seems like my mic was on before I started even streaming. I don't know if that was an OBS side, so apologize for my Doberman colliding into the entire thing and knocking my laptop, microphone, and everything on the floor. Yay. But, I'm here in kind of my usual spot, I suppose, for all my video journals or whatnot. It's in front of the Kamidana downstairs at the dojo, and I feel like this is probably an appropriate place to do this live stream as opposed to up at my desktop, which has a slightly less grainy webcam, but yeah, this will work. But I haven't mentioned it much, especially on the YouTube channel, but something I've been working towards for the last 6 years now, 6.5 years, was going affiliate with HME Taiji. And going affiliate means that you essentially have their seal of approval to teach all the materials for their system of Taiji Chuan, or Taiji Gong, whatever name that you choose to go with. And I got the official green light. And so I'm really excited about that. And so I'll talk a little bit about kind of what that is, what that means. And then the other thing that hit me was next year is 2026. And I'm not gonna lie, I've gone this entire year thinking that I was 34. And I'm not 35. And that means that this next year is my 30th year doing martial arts. So that's a thing, and that's kind of it's a wild number to really think about. So I dug up a bunch of old photos, and that got wet in the collision, it looks like. Hopefully that's okay. So I wanted to do what I could to kind of show some of those, go through my background a little bit, because I don't really talk about it too much, even on the channel. I allude to certain things, but yeah, I don't really go into a whole lot of detail. So, and then I'm thinking of going around with the laptop, we'll see, and doing a bit of a dojo tour for anyone that doesn't know what this place looks like, because your typical view is essentially this, but it's a pretty snazzy place. You know, pretty much every inch of the walls are covered with some sort of weapon, sharp, shiny things, and boat oars, and all sorts of stuff. And of course, we have some Christmas decorations up right now, which is kind of fun. So yeah, I guess we'll jump right into it. Like I said, I've been working towards making affiliate, and the reason why I didn't mention too much about it, it wasn't really that I felt like I was going to jinx anything. It was more I didn't know what kind of time frame to expect. And so I didn't want to, in the like second year of doing this stuff, to go, all right, I'm going to make it, guys, I'm going to hit affiliate. And then 8 years later, like, I did it. I did the thing. So I was just waiting until I got essentially full affiliate status to really mention anything. I've also been holding back on doing any kind of real celebrating until it was official. I had gotten semi-official status, people congratulating me, pat me on the back and say like, yep, you're in, you got the green light from Sifu, and that's great. And I was happy and excited, but I wanted it to be somewhat more official before I really celebrated, just in case there's some other thing. I don't know. I tend to jinx those kinds of things as far as timing for celebration is. So hopefully I outdid that this time. But for anyone that's seen me at like camps or workshops or here at the dojo, you know that my training partner and I train pretty hard, and this has been a goal of mine pretty much the whole time. So when I first went to, I'm gonna grab my brewski here. For those that aren't in my opinion, the best section of the United States, this is a Bell's Brewery lighthearted IPA. Yeah, but it's kind of a semi-local thing from down Kalamazoo, and it's good stuff. So if you have one, go ahead and crack her with me. But when I first went to that camp in 2019, I talk about it in, I think, one of my videos. The shock of, holy crap, all this stuff is real. This is insane. Suddenly feeling like the small fish in a big pond all over again. And that's all true, but the other side of it that was really grabbing to me was the presence and the attitude of the instructors. So when I look at a different martial arts system, let's say I go into a dojo downstate somewhere in some city, and I walk in, I'm not just looking at can they do whatever it is that they're trying to do, how is their technique. I'm also looking at how they interact with their students. Do they seem healthy? Do they seem happy? Do they seem to enjoy what they're doing? Because if they're not enjoying what they're doing, I'm going to be less likely to want to learn what they're doing. If it doesn't bring them some sense of peace or joy, is it worth a lifelong pursuit, essentially? And I've known for a good while that I'm a lifelong martial artist. So, whatever I get into, if I seriously get into it, I'm going to do it for the long haul. And so I wanted something that's going to even things out a little bit. So when I saw the instructors walk in, and not only did they look calm and healthy, but they were having a lot of fun doing what they were doing. They were enjoying themselves. And they were enjoying themselves even during some of the really hard parts of the exercises, things that were bringing me intense pain, or at least discomfort. They were happy as a clam. And it wasn't just that they were tougher than me, that's probably a big part of it, but also just you could see that they went through that process. And so I was seeing the end result or a further down result of what they were teaching. And I wanted that. Not just the skill, don't get me wrong, that's a big part of it, but I wanted everything else that came encapsulated around that skill. Sifu often refers to these things as kind of signposts along the path. So health is one of them. You can train with health as a big focus, but your training is going to closely resemble somebody that's doing it for skill or for peace or for these are signposts along the way, things that will happen with sincere enough training. And I think that's really attractive to me as something that I want to spend time on. And so knowing pretty quickly, not only did I want to do this, but dang, it just looked fun to teach. And I'm saying this on a YouTube channel as a live stream, but I actually have difficulty speaking off the cuff in front of people, especially if I can't see them, with like a little camera. It's not an easy thing for me. It's something I've had to practice and build skill for. That being said, it's a skill set that I feel this system helps out specifically. This helps to deal with a lot of those anxieties. It helps to connect. It's a good way for me to connect to people through something I'm enthusiastic about. And so I could see all the instructors were very passionate about doing this. I could see the results. And also it just seemed like a good challenge. And I guess I needed another challenge in my life or something. So yeah, I guess that's kind of why I wanted to go for it. Now, getting into kind of where I come from, and specifically starting with the area, I'm up in Michigan, and I know viewers are kind of all over the place. I get statistics that show me that some people are watching this from like Germany, all over the US, up in Canada there's a few people, there's a couple in like Australia, so just kind of everywhere. I'm up in Michigan, and right now it's actually pretty warm out. It's 36 according to my phone. That's like sweatshirt weather. That's kind of nice. Not too long ago, it was like 2 degrees. So cold, frigid north, pretty rural. Our town doesn't have a Walmart. We just got a McDonald's pretty recently, and a really small population size. Now, with all that, we have a pretty good student body here at this dojo. We get some pretty good numbers right now, like surprising numbers, especially for the area. And the group that we have, we're pretty tight knit. And at this dojo, we teach 4 different styles of martial arts, and we have really high quality connections with some really good people all across the globe. We travel to Japan for Yai. We go over the States for Yaido, drawing of the Japanese sword. And with karate, we have a really big history and competition. And I guess I'll get into all that in a second. But so to be able to offer not just another system here, but a really high quality, authentic system, something that's rare to find anywhere, to be able to offer that in a tiny little town like this up in Michigan, it's pretty appealing to me. So there's a whole lot of layers that go into me wanting to do all this. But before I don't know if I have to sit my beer down. So before I get into talking about myself and all that kind of stuff, I guess, now that I've made it, it's not like the end or anything like that. Honestly, this is kind of just the beginning, like that first walk through the tape. But now that I'm here, it's kind of interesting that it's boom, all right, here it is, kind of thing. But thank you to, first off, for like the YouTube channel. Anyone that watches these, whether you're watching them to call me fake or you're in support of what I'm doing, or you're watching, thank you. And to anyone that's supporting me over on Patreon, thank you guys very much. That's been really nice. So it's not like I'm raking in buku bucks or anything on it, nothing like that. But it's been a good motivator to keep me on a semi-regular schedule with a lot of these things, and it's just really nice to have that extra interaction. And training like we do, the schedule is pretty hard. What I do day to day essentially is teach class here, and I want to upkeep that anyway. But then training this system in the way that we have, that takes hours a day, and when everything's going really consistent, we're training 6 days a week. So we go pretty hard. And I don't know if she's watching this or if she'll see it, but just big thank you to my wife as well for supporting me in that, and working with my schedule and helping me finagle things around the house so I can do something kind of wild like this. And I have a feeling my parents might actually be watching this. So cheers to you guys. But a big thank you to you both as well. I mean, none of this would have been possible without what you guys did. So big thank you. And of course, big thank you to everybody in HME, meeting up with people at the workshops, not just those that have seen my videos, but those that I just see familiar faces and we get the push. And big thank you to all the instructors for being patient with me as I shove my way to the front of the line, or not quite get something very quickly at all. Or my arms are shaking like leaves in a hurricane and all that kind of stuff. But the advice, critique, and the hands-on experience has been invaluable in all my training. So, and of course, there's one other person that I really ought to thank, and that would be my training partner, Wanda. And like I said, we train 6 days a week. We're trying to keep each other in line while still keeping each other healthy and balancing all this stuff out. It's not easy making time for that. And on top of that, this training is also very not easy. And so I really appreciate having somebody to train alongside with me. It goes a long way, and it really, really helps. So thank you. So with all the gushy stuff out of the way, I suppose, and I'm also running on really not much sleep at all, so I apologize if there's somebody I forgot to thank. I can't think of them at the moment. But just know that if I forgot to mention you specifically, I am very grateful. Okay, so all the kissy gushy stuff out of the way. Like I said, this coming year is my 30th year in martial arts, and that's a big number. I still get called kid in a lot of groups I go to train with or go to do, and that's fun. It's a good time. And I started back in 1996. I was in elementary school. I can't remember exactly what class it was, but I can remember what my desk looked like, oddly enough, when this tall, bald, honestly kind of a biker-looking guy came in talking about martial arts and self-defense and discipline and learning Japanese. And I was actually not an athletic kid growing up. I didn't really want to do football, basketball, swimming. I didn't want to really do a whole lot of much of anything. But this grabbed my attention, and the key thing that got me locked in, my brother and I both, was he promised that if you signed up for a year, you would get an autographed picture of Chuck Norris, the legend himself, Walker, Texas Ranger. It was a show that we would watch semi-often at home, so I knew who Chuck Norris was, and plus watching like Bruce Lee and things like that, the whole chest hair rip off and he blows it out of his hand. So immediately, I needed that autographed picture. It had to happen. So we ran home with the flyers in hand and like begged our parents to let us go do this. And I don't really know how they felt about all that, because maybe they were just excited, like, at least he's doing something. I don't know. I was a small, very nerdy looking kid. I was just seeing a bunch of old pictures of myself today, and it's just, wow. It's a lot of freckles. So we did. We joined, and my brother and I started the same day. And we were the kind of brothers that didn't always get along. So, of course, throughout all this time, we're kicking each other's asses at home and all sorts of stuff that really shouldn't have done. But, hey ho, here we are. So I go into my instructor's office to get this signed picture of Chuck Norris. And sure enough, it was a decent sized printout, a picture of Chuck Norris. I seem to remember it being of decent quality. Excuse me. I tried to find this picture. I do still have it somewhere. I just couldn't track it down today. And it was autographed. But when you look at it, and I didn't catch this for years, it was a photocopied picture of Chuck Norris with his autograph on it before the photocopy. And then my instructor had gone over the signature with a Sharpie to make it look fresh. It was pretty slick. I'll give him that. But hey, it got us in the door. I'm sure it got a lot of people in the door. So when we first joined up over there, it was a bigger place than this, a much larger dojo space, massive student body. They had back-to-back kids classes with like 20 to 30 kids each. It was kind of nuts, but it wasn't really a McDojo. It wasn't you get your black belt in 2 years and you're 6 years old still. No, it wasn't like that. It was actually kind of hardcore. We got hit a lot. So we join up and we're having a blast with it. And I don't know if this was the starting incident to get my parents involved or not, but I have a clear memory of this. We were getting ready to go to church one morning, and we were in the kitchen. I'm sure they were trying to wrangle us to get our damn shoes on or something. And I went, "Hey, Dad, watch this." And I threw a reverse punch, and I hit him right in the groin. And it was probably pretty hard. And yeah. Sometime after that, this was about a year-ish after we had started, he went into my instructor's office, probably pretty livid, had enough of that crap, but he left the office with a uniform and he had signed up. And then I think my mom was soon after that. I think that's the order it went in. So it wasn't too long until all of us were going to the dojo. And it was at least a twice a week thing, and we would all just pile in the car, go down to the dojo, do classes, and it was fun. It was a different kind of family experience. I remember going to school some days with bruises on my arms or different things like that, and teachers would talk to me and kind of in hushed tones, is everything okay? And like, oh yeah, that's okay. That's from my mom, and that went really well. So it was different. It wasn't like growing up doing a normal sport, where you go to games and things like that. Our normal was going to class and getting punched and kicking stuff and throwing each other around. And then we would do a whole lot of competing. I'm getting text message updates right now to correct the record. So apparently my mom joined way before my dad. My apologies. But regardless, I'm gonna bring up some of these pictures here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make these all that visible. Like I said, this webcam is something probably pre-PewDiePie or some shit. So this was, I think, a little while after we joined. I don't remember exactly the timing of it, but this picture here is my brother lying down on the floor and my instructor about to cut an apple off of his stomach. So just in case it's a little too blurry there, Now, I don't know exactly how sharp the sword was. It was probably at least a little sharp. The thing to know is that my instructor was legally blind. So that was fun. That was sometime pretty early in our training, if I remember right. But just in case you didn't believe me in how weedy I used to be, and again, this is a really small one here. That's me at some competition a whole long time ago with terrible footwork, and I'm not even sure what my hand is doing there. I don't really know what was going on. Probably even had less of an idea then. But it's some competition from a real long time ago. And so I'm going to just kind of go down these. These aren't in order particularly, but some of these do have dates on the back. So yeah, this next one is from 2002 state competition, and I remember this competition actually pretty well because we were sparring on a carpet. If you've ever been on a carpet barefoot, especially in a hotel like this one was, you know that if you move quickly a lot, you're going to tear your feet up. Which is exactly what happened. I think my brother had scars on his feet for a long time after this one. But I think I was, oh man, that is blurry. There we go. I was a brown belt then, and again, not exactly proud of what my technique looks like there. I think I was doing Seiching, I think. If you're familiar with Weichi Kata, it's either that or Kunshu, but either way, it's not exactly distinct, and that's not a good sign. But boy, oh boy. So I think this is when I stopped getting my hair cut, and so I don't know if you can see that, but I got like the early 2000s mop, and that was when I was wearing glasses. So that's an interesting one there. Oh, here we go. So this is from 2000. So I was 10 years old. This was a regional tournament in Lake Zurich, Illinois. Just a, wow. Look at that nerd. Big old AAU patch on me. Short little haircut. Big round glasses. Just a nerd. I was a green belt at the time. And so I don't remember exactly when we started competing, but we had to go from state level to regional level and then nationals. And then I think after that is Junior Olympics. I never got to the Junior Olympic level myself, though I've had a couple students compete in the Junior Olympics a few times, and that was an experience. Highest I got was nationals, and that was in year 2000. I'm not exactly sure what was happening. Oh boy, this was a kickathon. So there's me right there. And the idea of a kickathon is it's an event to raise money. And what we would do is we would go around the town and we would get sponsors. And we'd say, hey, sponsor me for like a penny or 2 pennies per kick. And then we're going to have this allotted amount of time and we're going to throw a ton of kicks. And then we'll record how many kicks and then you pay us that amount of money. And I don't think people realized how many kicks we were going to throw because we'd have some people like, oh, I'll give you a dime a kick. Like, I don't think you really want to, that's a lot of money, you know. But I always remember being really wobbly after those things. And usually we would get like pizza or something after we were done kicking. So you'd like hobble over to the table and just cram all this pizza in your face and just lay there bloated and sore. And it's actually a really good time. So, holy cow. So this is from 2002, and I don't know if my brother will end up seeing this one, but his hair choice was pretty spot on. So here's a picture from 2002 of our whole family. I think at is that a competition? Because I see ceiling lights. So I think this was a competition. And my parents were doing Kobudo, and yeah, you can see I was the runt of the family, for sure. Oh my goodness. This is just fun to go down these things. All right, so I started out in doing karate, Weichidu karate specifically, and you kind of you end up trying out other arts that are at the dojo, or they get woven in the class sometimes, or things like that. And so another art, and we teach this one here as well, is kobudo. And kobudo, excuse me, is use of a tool. So I see a lot of people, if you have a weapon in your hand, they still call it karate, and that's not correct. The words karate actually mean open hand or empty hand. So the moment you pick up a tool and then use that, it's no longer open or empty hand, it becomes kobudo. And so one of my favorite weapons for kobudo are these little ones. They're hairpins. In fact, I think I'm gonna borrow some here from the Kamigana just for a moment. This is a jiwa. And you hold it like this, you can close your hand around it. These are relatively sharp and pointy. You can let your curiosity run amok there, and pretty quickly you can find out some of the things that you can do with that. And the reason why I say it's a hairpin is because they would disguise it in their hair, tie it up, stick it in, and they could claim it wasn't a weapon. So a lot of the weapons that we use here were actually farming implements, or things that were like household items. They weren't directly weapons. So here's a picture of me in a halfway decent horse stance as a young brown belt. Look at that hairdo again. And, halfway decent. My front leg should actually be straight, probably pointing at the camera. But at least my shape isn't too bad on that one. My head's up at the very least. So here's a picture actually later on. So the dojo that I grew up at is about an hour away from where I currently am. And in 2008, my parents wanted to start one over here. So my family started teaching classes over this way, and eventually we bought a building, and that's what this is. And but prior to getting this place and then renovating it, which was a process, we taught at the local community center, and it was okay. It had very cold concrete floors, tall ceilings, bathrooms that would often freeze or just be completely unusable. It would be like 30 degrees back in the changing room, even when it was warm in the main room. But here's a picture from the community center, and I think, I'm the awkward dude standing over here. I don't know, I always stood like a watching vulture for some reason. But even for training on concrete, we had a pretty solid group like right off the bat, and we'd spar and things on that. It was crazy, just probably ill-advised, really looking back at it. So, I'll get into some of the time frames on some of these things, because like I said, these are all out of order and whatnot. But not too long after joining up, we also started doing something called Iaido. And Iaido is the art of drawing the Japanese sword. And not like where you swinging around really fast and like yell, and not that extreme martial arts stuff. It's not that. Like this is traditional. And so here I am. We're doing, I believe this was over in Escanaba. We're doing some outdoor event, and you can see we got a bunch of people in gi to demonstrate karate, and then there's my dad, and there's me in the back. Now that's definitely when I stopped getting haircuts. And look at the mushroom head on that guy. Holy cow. So, yeah, this must be what it's like to look back at yourself with like 70s baggy pants or something, I don't know. And then going quite a ways back, I remember training with these guys quite a bit. We were in a dojo like that. We have a big class, a lot of students, and you don't always go to like school with the same people or anything like that. But I mean, you build a camaraderie with all these other people. So you'd have like groups of friends and packs, and you'd train together and goof around together, things like that. So this was kind of part of that clique for me. And I'm obviously the weedy guy in the middle there doing, I think it's a futanuk from Seicheng. And you got Jeff on the side doing a skuruke. That was quite a long time ago. The tire's in the background here, by the way. That's a tire cut in half, and it's split vertically for punching and kicks. We actually still have that. It's in the back room. We just have to find a spot or make space to put that up. So I'd be really interested in doing that. And then, yeah, here's a kind of another picture. More people from the clique, just being goofy goobers out on the dojo floor. I'm trying to get it to where there's not as much glare on it. Yeah, a little crouched down guy there. And I'm pretty sure, since these pictures were in white belts, the most of us, and we're doing things from Seicheng, I'm pretty sure this was getting ready for a Kobudo class, because there's a separate ranking system. And so if I was a purple belt in karate and I'd go to Kobudo, I would change out and put on the belt that's appropriate for that class. But now we get into some of the old stuff here. And especially since I know some of the people that are watching, we're going to start with this one. So what got us started in Iaido specifically was, the timeline for me is a little blurry because it was so long ago, pretty young, but I seem to remember the starting event was this instructor coming over from Japan, and his name was Kogushi Sensei. Really nice guy. And at some point I remember he came over to my family's house for dinner, and now over in Japan, getting a steak is kind of a big deal. They don't have a lot of room to raise livestock, so steak is really expensive. It's a commodity over there. So we had steak, and he was just sucking it off the bone. He probably even had like 2 steaks. He couldn't get enough, kind of thing. So this was from 1999, and I was smart enough to ask Kogushi Sensei for his autograph. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I'm really glad that I still have this little piece of paper here. So I'm hanging on to that one as long as I can. I dug up a lot of these while searching for the Chuck Norris autograph picture. Of course, I didn't find that one. But I did find a few other goodies. So in doing Iaido and meeting all these cool instructors like Kogushi Sensei and Sano Sensei, Rei Sensei eventually, we got to go to Japan. And I've been there now a good number of times. My dad's been there like 8 or 9 times, something crazy. And it's always partly to sightsee, partly to train, meet up with instructors, that kind of a deal. My first time going to Japan was 2004. And that's actually when I went Shodan, or first degree black belt in Iaido. And we'll just say my outfit choice reflected the era pretty well. I have a picture of us arriving in Narita Airport. So you got Kogushi Sensei, Sano Sensei, my father. That's obviously me there in the camel pants and the bucket hat. And there's my mom, and then there's all her damn luggage. It's really fun to see all that. And you know what I remember about this probably the most from that flight was those are like kind of snowboarding pants, so they're double layered. You could actually wear just the inside or add the second layer on like I have in this one. And the pockets were massive. And I was really excited about that because I could fit most of my CD collection in my pockets and my non-skip CD player. I could stuff that right in the pocket. And so I had plenty of music to listen to for the 13-hour flight. Also, I was sweating like crazy. It was really warm. But yeah, I was 14 at the time. And the funny thing about being 14 and wanting to test in the Ido is you can't, or you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to get Shodan until you're 16 or above. They didn't know I wasn't 16, so I got Shodan, and I was basically told, like just don't test for a while. So I got Shodan a couple years ahead of when I was supposed to, but that's all right. I don't think they'll catch me. So, let's see which one I want to show up next here. Ooh, yeah. Here's another really fun one. This was a little after this was established here at this location, but we didn't have all the weapons and stuff on the wall just yet, but it's got some fun faces in this one. So you can see in this one, if I can get it not too blurry, there's me there in the middle. There's my brother, who was the original instructor at this dojo. Ooh, excuse me, I am very burpy tonight. So he was the original instructor at this place. And this person right over here jumping rope like a beast, that's Wanda. That's my training partner. So she's been here since we opened this place up. So she's not like some new addition just for Taiji or anything. She's been knocking people around for a good while, and it's just kind of fun to run into those pictures. So going through a lot of different martial arts, and we have a lot of different guest instructors that would come in. We had Dorlake Sensei who would come up from downstate, or we would go down to competitions down Kalamazoo, that kind of thing, which I would just get people's autographs, which I think at the time was kind of odd, but now looking back, I'm glad that I did, because it's just kind of cool to have a keepsake. So this is actually Dorlake Sensei's autograph here, and you notice he's referencing, if anyone's familiar with Dorlake Sensei out of Kalamazoo, he teaches at Western Michigan. He teaches Shotokan Karate, not Tang Soo Do, but that was his original style. And so way back when, that was still kind of his main system, was Tang Soo Do. So I just thought that was kind of cool, a little relic of the past there. But we would have guest instructors come in quite a bit and either do demonstrations or teach a couple classes, or just hop in, say hi, that kind of thing, shake hands. And even though that town is bigger than this one, it's still kind of remarkable to have that kind of crowd come in to that tiny little spot. And the first experience that I can recall of realizing that martial arts could be a lot deeper than just, I hit you really hard and then I block so you don't get to hit me. The first time I realized that, there's something kind of weird that you can do, was actually this next guy in this next picture here. And this is, let's see if I got the date right. Yeah, this looks like it's in 2000. So it was definitely after nationals, because I'm a blue belt, which is kind of interesting. But here's a picture of me bullying Sherman Harrell Sensei. And he has since passed away, unfortunately, but he was a hoot. He was just a blast. What a nice guy. He would goof around with, obviously he would goof around with you. One of those copies of that picture, somewhere, it said, you keep that mean blue belt away from me, or something like that. That was this twig. But he was one of the first people that would, just using a finger, just drop somebody on the ground. That was kind of my first experience with that. But of course I was like 10 years old, so it didn't really register all that well of like, that's not average skill. There's something kind of weird going on here. Plus, as a 10-year-old, I can tell my classmates, and who's going to believe me? Yeah, I watched Dragon Ball Z, so But that was kind of the first sign of, whoa, there's something different that you can do with all this stuff. And so it was just it was really fun to dig through a lot of those. And ooh, I got some newspaper clippings, actually. That might be kind of fun if I can get them to show up on camera. I don't know. Pictures in newspapers are pretty small typically. And these ones are particularly faded. Yeah. So something that we're always pretty good about was making sure that people knew that we went and did this competition and, you know, cleaned house, did really well, that kind of a thing, to gin up some local pride in the dojo, and is always something nice for the members. And of course it gets new people in the door when you see a picture of people with like 30 medals dripped around their neck. And in some of those tournaments too, we would just clean house. Some of the pictures that I couldn't quite get bigger versions of, you can see kids on our team and they just have like a mound of medals, and it was pretty cool. So here's another picture. This one is actually from, oh, there's got to be a year on here. Oh, this is also from 2000. A lot of year 2000 competitions in here. So you can see kind of our team size from that year. It was a pretty sizable team. But yeah, we would drive 8+ hours each way to go to these competitions and stay at these hotels. And over time, we would actually start renting out like a tour bus, essentially, with like the TV screens and everything. I remember going down to a competition in Kalamazoo, and one of the members had the choice of movie, so he picked out, I think it was Army of Darkness. And so if you can imagine a bus full of mostly kids, and he throws on Army of Darkness of all things. And yeah, I also remember practicing my chopsticks and trying to pick up those mini M&Ms, the ones that come in the tube, on the little tray table while the bus is going down the road. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, a whole lot of competing and just years and years of good fun stuff to kind of look back on and, you know, just kind of reminisce about. So, but yeah, 30 years next year is weird to think about. And I started teaching. I count my start of teaching as when I was getting something for my teaching. So like when I started getting paid to teach. And that was when I got my black belt. So that would be 2004. So that's also been quite a while. And, you know, I mean, now it's just kind of, it's what I do, and I love doing it. So I'm glad I get to teach HME Taiji along with a lot of other fun stuff. And it's just gonna be really fun to have something like this, something so authentic and so good in a tiny area like this. But people here appreciate really good stuff. It's a really good community and a really good area for things like this. So I'm pretty excited. Now, I think I'm gonna try taking the laptop around here and do a quick little dojo tour. So hopefully I won't rustle the mic too heavy or anything. We'll find out. And hopefully the signal doesn't drop, but our router should be able to handle it. It's kind of a beast. Okay. Let's see if I can make this work here. I'm so used to like recording videos from just a stationary thing. All right. Ooh, I can definitely, yeah. I don't give anybody like motion sickness or anything. So the structure that's behind me in these videos, by the way, this is a kamidana. This is a spirit house, and it's kind of in the Okinawan fashion. It's big, it's bulky, It's got a lot of things on it from different belief systems, different religions, different people have moved on or passed on. And this is actually the one from the dojo that I grew up at, so it's kind of old. And you can see behind me there is a banner that's hidden behind the fan, which the fan has a face on it. We have some artsy students that like to draw on things. So that's a banner displaying the name of our style for karate. So Uechi-ryu Karate Do. And then on the opposite side, a little off angle, is the one for Yaido. So Muso Jikiden Eishin-ryu Yaido. And then this little guy over here, really tiny in comparison, that is a Shinza. That's essentially the Japanese version of that. So a wee bit of size difference. Now, we have, of course, we got some Menjo up in the corner there, some rank certificates, some Jo, some Bokuto. We have like walls of mirrors and all sorts of stuff, and decorations up on the walls and what have you. We got that ugly cuss there. So, obviously being a Uechi-ryu dojo, we have to have Kanbun Uechi and Sushiwa and Snoopy. Everybody needs a Snoopy. All right, I don't know how I'm gonna walk around like this. We're gonna make it work though. Along the front, we got, that front step there was actually kind of where the original altar was, because this was originally a church. And we had to pull all the carpeting up, and good times there. Get all the back crap out of there. We got some blades up there for Yaido. We got some Tuifo over here. We got some Sai. Just weapons along each wall. We kept the original wood floors. So this place was built in 1893 or 1896, somewhere in that range. And we kept the original wood floors. Pretty happy with that. We got some Kama over here. I think we got some Chizun Kumbo. We got the traditional Okinawan Christmas tree, of course, in the corner, because we like to decorate and make things kind of festive for all the students and what have you. We got some Jiwa, like I was showing off before, up along the Mitsudomoe, some Naginata right behind me there. We got our bow rack, and we have a really nice like front counter area, seating area, so when we have events and things like that, this is just a really good space to use for all that kind of thing. So it's a sizable dojo, and sizable enough for what we're looking for. And real quick, we're going in the back room. We're gonna go through the ugly cuss curtain here. Actually, I really like that curtain. You know, much like old weapon storage and what have you. But this, I referred to it kind of a hall of memories. So, this is actually pictures from nationals. So, again, year 2000, kind of a big year for us. And Junior Olympics, a couple other competition photos, and instructor photos way up there. I don't know if I can angle the camera properly, but this whole hallway leading to one of the changing rooms is just full of pictures of classes and tournaments and other instructors and all sorts of good stuff. So we have a pretty nice setup. I've been to a number of dojos that are essentially a rented out space that it looks like a not very well kept basement, or you got like exposed pipe along the ceiling and just kind of workable, serviceable. But this place is nice. I like all the wood, and everything's bright. When it's summer, we open up all the windows, and it's just fantastic. I like to do events here. Like we have gaming nights from time to time, where when I can tolerate the number of kids, we set up a TV or a few TVs sometimes, gaming consoles. We got long tables out to play like D&D or board games, and one time we had chess going while somebody was playing on a PS3 and somebody else was playing on a GameCube, and just crazy stuff. One of the ones I really like doing though are movie nights. And I'll do themed movie nights based on what time of the year it is. So like we had a summer movie night where we showed I can't remember what the kid-friendly one was, but we started with a family-friendly one, and then boot all the kids out and watch Jaws and Army of Darkness and all sorts of stuff. And we have snack tables off on the sides and kick off all the lights, and it's a really good time. And pretty soon here we're going to be having our Christmas party, so we're going to be doing like cookie decorating, and it's a really, really cool spot. Like I said, I've been out to a lot of different dojos and met with a lot of different people that train, and we just, I don't know, there's an extra touch here that I think goes a long way. So that's kind of my general background and things like that for anyone that didn't know or was kind of curious. And so yeah, so it's exciting making affiliate, and I'm really excited to see where everything goes from here. For anyone that was at that last big camp in Milwaukee with Sifu Adam, you're probably wondering why I was getting picked on so much, and I think probably the main reason behind that was I had sent out a message to Sifu Adam beforehand saying that I'm looking to make affiliate, and what do I need to do in order to do that? And he basically just said, cool. And then, well, for anyone that was there, you guys saw he was pushing me around and poking and prodding, and he took me down a couple times on hard floor, all sorts of fun things. So I think that was a big driving force behind that. But I'm really excited to be a small fish in a big pond in something like this, and to just get to teach something. Because Taiji has done a lot for my other arts. It's done a lot for me personally. It hasn't degraded my other arts. I don't condition my hands like I used to for karate. I don't swing this huge ironwood log over my head anymore for Iaido. I don't have a need to do that kind of conditioning anymore, because the Taiji has not only filled in those gaps, but improved a lot of those things. So with all the improvements I've made under Taiji, everything else has just been lifted up. So if you're at all curious about doing something like that and you're worried about other arts or other things, I say just go for it, just see what it's all about. But I think that's about all I got. I don't think I have, oh, wait a minute. I do have one extra thing, and I kind of forgot that I left this here. It's actually here because we just finished up a class, like right before this, and it was Iaido. So I got something kind of cool to show you. And I'd say after taking a swig of beer, though I haven't had that many at all. And I did check in with the YouTube guidelines for live streams before doing anything like this. But this is something pretty cool. And I like to show this when I get a chance, and this seems like a pretty good chance. So in Iaido, when you reach, I don't know, I think 7th dan, not a dan, I think. You're able to swing a live blade. And a live blade is something that's sharp. And this goes a little beyond just being a live blade. So this katana, this was made somewhere around the year 1615, so early Edo era Japan. A lot of the hardware is original, and it's in fantastic shape. This is one my father had picked up over in Japan, and I then inherited it. He passed it down to me, and you can see some of the inlay. It's got flowers. It's got stingray skin underneath the wrapping, which is traditional. And I believe, though I don't know exactly where, but I believe I have the belly button of the stingray, which is like extra good luck, and that's kind of awesome. The spa, you can see here, has detailed gold inlay and all sorts of fancy stuff. Habaki is also gold. And if you know anything about Japanese blades, you notice that it does not have that long running groove down the back. Now, and I might be getting some of this mixed up, so my apologies, but I believe those were mostly introduced around World War II to help make the blades lighter so that they could train with them a little bit easier, so they wouldn't be so heavy and they wouldn't have to essentially just take that much time to get stronger. They could go through the process much faster. So this is a very old sword, and this is the one that I generally practice with. And even though it is that old, and you know, it shows its age in some little parts, it is still extremely sharp. So, you know, knowing that, you just have to treat it with the utmost respect, because otherwise it, you know, it cuts your hand off. And we don't want any big boo-boos around here. And if you're curious, yeah, I have actually drawn my own blood with that. Not on purpose, obviously. So, I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this whole thing up. For anyone that's been watching, really appreciate it. Again, big thank you to everybody that's helped me get here. And I'm looking forward to continuing on and where this goes. So, thanks everybody for watching. And I'll see you guys here pretty soon. So, bye.